If you could give it all away, where would you put it and why?
That's a great question, because I think about that, and uh, there's not an easy answer. Um, it's easy to give things to established organizations. It's also a lot of fun to start new types of philanthropic endeavors. And it's also nice to just give money directly to people to change their lives. So a lot of different mechanisms to do that.
So kind of spread it all around, not just one particular method of giving it all away, is what you.
Uh, um, I think there are a lot of interesting ways to do that, and I don't find just one thing or one way compelling.
In terms of giving, is there anything that you're doing that's different than the status quo in terms of the way, how you're doing it and the way you're giving to philanthropy?
Well, the answer is yes, and I'm working on a project to start something new, which I think will be impactful. And I think in that regard, I'm like many people who are serious about philanthropic giving.
Can you share with us what what you're working on that's new that will be impactful? Okay. Who's the greatest philanthropist you know and why?
Well, just empirically, the greatest philanthropist is Bill Gates, because he's got the most money going into that activity, and it's also being handled in a very interesting and thoughtful and professional way. The fact that he's encouraged and successfully got Warren Buffett to add to the Gates Foundation makes it basically unprecedented in its scale, and so you would have to, I think, recognize that if two of the three wealthiest people in the world are contributing a vast amount of their wealth to an activity, that activity will be highly impactful, considering how bright and gifted both of them are. It's a young foundation, so that remains to be seen, but there are so many remarkable people who've started things, help people. It's really a very difficult question to rank anybody on that scale.
Anyone historically who you admire for their philanthropy?
Well, both Carnegie and Rockefeller. We're sitting in the New York Public Library that was started by Andrew Carnegie with a donation of $5 million, which was at that point the largest charitable gift in the world. Carnegie had a real focus on education and opened more libraries than anybody in history. Rockefeller had a massive and continuing impact on the whole range of different things that he did, in the medical field, the educational field, leaving these enormous foundations that to this day do remarkable types of things.
What inspired you to start out in philanthropy, to start giving? Was there anything in particular that inspired you?
I don't regard myself as starting out. My grandfather was very charitable, and he basically set an example for all of us in my family. It was something that you were expected to do, and I'm lucky that, commercially, through starting our business, which has worked out well, I'm able to do things and help people, and I enjoy that.
What's the most surprising thing you've learned about giving money away? Is there any surprises along the way?
I don't know that it's surprising. The recipients, of course, are enormously grateful, and that's emotionally satisfying. I guess the surprising thing is how aggressive people are at asking you for money, and it comes from every place, from people who just have individual problems to institutions, and some people go away nicely. Some people, are a bit grumbly, and so that element surprises me, but I probably shouldn't be surprised.
Are there any lessons learned, anything you wish you might have done differently in terms of philanthropy and giving?
Not yet, but I view this as early days, and as you get older, and if you have significant resources, you want to spend more of your time doing interesting things with that for the benefit of other people and society, and so I don't look at the time in the past and what I do. It's also my nature. I'm always looking in the future.
And as a last question, are there any amazing stories, any real kind of triumphs that you feel that have come from your giving that you're proud of? Or
my wife and I send a few hundred kids a year to parochial schools in New York, and I get the report cards from all the kids, and I make sure we write each one back, so that if their grade in English is down a little bit, or they were absent more than they should be without an excuse, we write them, and have them understand that somebody cares about them, someone's looking after them, and it's really fun. I mean, they write back, and that's just one of the many types of things that we do. But that in particular is important to me, because we're changing the course of many children's lives. Education, is the passport for advancement in the modern world, and also in the not so modern world, and being able to facilitate that for kids who otherwise would be mandated to be in a vastly inferior educational situation is really changing their lives. They have to change their life, but if you give them the opportunity, it's a lifetime gift, and it's things of that type that make giving extremely satisfying. It's not about you, it's really about them, and all of us who've been lucky enough to be successful did not get there on their own. Somebody helped you at different stages in your life, and to forget that as a lifetime lesson is unforgivable. And to the extent that you can help other people have a better life, achieve their dream, achieve their fulfillment as a human being, that's a really good thing to do for somebody else.